Welcome to the Dealmaker Show, the number one place for entrepreneurs and dealmakers to learn about leveraging and generating status, frame control, and narrative power to close big deals. Here is your host, investment banker, deal-making expert, and best-selling author of Pitch Anything and Flip the Script, Mr. Oren Klaff.
Hey guys, you're live with Oren Klaff. This is the Dealmaker podcast. I'm going to teach you something in the next 10 seconds about podcasts. If the introduction is, hey, this is Oren Klaff, this is the Dealmaker podcast, no commercials, no join our program, no eat our protein powder, no this is our coffee, no we're sponsored by ai.com.barbecue grill, nothing. It's just we have it's because we're busy and all we have is content. We're just going to roll through some stuff. We're busy, you're busy. I don't have time for a long, drawn-out introduction. At the risk of actually having a long introduction, I'd like to bring on David Brier, my guest for today, who I'm very excited about talking to about branding. David, thank you for coming here. You were probably going to want to leave sooner than you expected because I have some questions about branding. But
wait, can I talk about my barbecue sauce first? I mean, I really, it's the best. Brier's barbecue sauce. I mean, it's amazing stuff.
I know. So this is the problem. Are you running an advertising agency, a hedge fund, a consulting firm, a public company, or are you selling face cream and barbecue sauce? I don't know. Which one is it? Like, people confuse me today.
Well, the bottom line is you don't want to confuse the face cream with the barbecue sauce because they look very different. They have a different impact on your skin, you know. And so anyway, I'll just that's my only cosmetic tip for the day.
Yeah, people are constantly telling me you have ketchup on your face, you have barbecue sauce on your face, you have tartar. I don't care. I'm too busy to even wipe my food off my face. So I'm not embarrassed by it. Okay, look, we're talking about branding today, and I'm glad we're talking about it because really, I mean, in the scheme of things, when you're looking at growing a firm, there's a couple things that are confusing. 1, sales. 2, marketing. 3, finance. 4, branding. 5, personnel, like recruiting. Right? You get financial controls. You get all that right. As long as you have a product, you basically have a company, and something will happen. But so let me break down this. So sales, I get sales. It's super straightforward, right? At a minimum, and we try and help people with sales and do better than call them 19 times and say, do you want it? But basically that will work at some level. Right. It's not elegant. Doesn't protect your brand. If you're Mercedes, you shouldn't do it. But we see people doing it all the time. Yet there's lots of room for improvement, but you can do it. Marketing, it's a little bit more complicated, and marketing is a real field because there's numbers, right? You could take out advertising, you can measure response, you can buy AdWords, you have a long tail on customer acquisition, and so marketing is like a real thing that people spend a lot of time on, right? And then finance, we won't get into it here, but finance is in my opinion, people get it wrong because they do take money in, and then it causes them all kinds of problems. Finance is something people need to get better at, but at a basic level, somebody will invest in your company and everything. But branding, now we're at branding. And it to some, and don't take this the wrong way, but from some perspectives, it doesn't seem like a real thing that you can control. Of course, right? And because 99% of conversations that I've ever had about branding go like this. Well, take a look at Apple. Fuck you. Okay? No, Apple's a $1 trillion company. I am a $0 trillion company. No, you're not taking a look at Apple. Right? Take a look at Lululemon. No, I'm fucking in finance. Sorry. But so I'm glad to have you here because everybody just says, well, for example, Apple. No, not for example, Apple. So branding, and let me finish and I'll turn it over to you, talk the rest of the time. And but branding just seems like sticky noise to me. Big dummy. Okay. Branding seems like the noisiest thing you do that is the stickiest, that you're like, it's different. It works for me. I'm going with it.
Right.
That is branding. I sort of have to live in this world of pitch and communicate and messaging and everything like that. Is there more to branding than sticky noise?
Well, put it this way. So and if this, I say this with all due respect. I think of you as like the pitch man, like the deal man, right? You go in.
That's where I made the most amount of noise. I'm the best at. It's the only thing I know. I try and do anything else. People are like, I'm not gonna listen to that guy. The one thing that I talk about that people go, yeah, that makes sense, right? And I get any feedback for is pitch. So I'm the big deal maker, pitch guy, because that's what I know. It's what I'm good at. It's what I message. It's the only way I'm credible, and it's where I make the most noise and where it sticks the most.
But here's the parallel. You talk a lot about framing. You talk a lot about how to frame it, how to pitch it. Okay, good. So the thing is if you do a pitch that sounds like everybody else, you're going to fail. If you do a pitch, right, it's going to be freaking vanilla. No one's going to give a shit. No one's going to give you a check. You're dead, right? Branding actually parallels in that way. There's one thing that I operate on. It's the fact that different is better than better. Everybody that's coming out with a brand, as well as everybody who's going like who's going into pitch, like you're going in to come with investment money. If you sound like all the rest, you're going to blend in. You're not going to be considered valuable. It's like, why should I even listen to Oren? He's going to waste my freaking time, right? So the thing is that in a brand, the same way, it's like I'm going out there. How is a company that's coming to me, how am I going to help them to actually not sound like everyone else, not fail on the sniff test where someone goes, you smell like everyone else, you sound like everyone else. Why should I give a shit?
So 1,000,000%, we're in agreement. I want to start to unpack this because I think for me, the cognitive psychology or the evolutionary psychology behind this is that I think we're talking the same language. The neocortex, or the part of the brain that works the hardest to solve problems, has an instruction set. Don't send me, hey, rest of the brain that eats, fucks, runs, sleeps, runs away from danger, runs towards pleasure. While you're doing all this stuff, right? Me, the neocortex, don't send me problems that I've solved before.
Right.
Because I expend a lot of energy and it's exhausting to solve problems. We know that. Sit down to do your taxes. Right. Sit down to get a compliance exam. Sit down for the driver's test, whatever. Right. So it's exhausting. The neocortex does anything and it's exhausting. So it has a set of rules. Don't send me problems that I've seen before. That's why when we pattern match on things that we have already seen before, it looks similar, the brain goes, I know what this is. I don't want to work hard on digesting this, solving this problem, unpacking it, putting it back together. I already know what it is, right? And I'm just going to sort of fill in the blanks and guess what it is. And I'm out focusing, and I'm going to not spend energy and go back to just scanning my environment for danger. So is that, I guess in my mythology, that is why things that seem similar to other things don't get attention.
Absolutely. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's like, why do I need, if I'm going to be comparing the only reason that you and I would ever compare what we're offering, whether it be a brand or a company, and basically reference it to something that already exists, is to now use that as a deflection point to basically go, okay, and by the way, that we both know and recognize is broken. Here's the new thing that actually is going to actually repair that or turn that on its freaking head.
Right. So we're almost somewhere. I think we want to take a couple more steps. So in terms of branding, what can happen is, like, I come out with this, whatever the hell this is, right? A ninja card that you stick in the thing and it goes to it and then the thing goes there, right? And nobody else has it. And this has, 8 megabytes and it's 1 terabyte, right? And it's a solid state drive and it's, $399. Yep. And so that thing sort of brands itself because as does strawberry flavored dog food that dogs will eat, right? So there's different. It's differentiated by virtue of what it is. Okay, so Kobe Bryant, Trump to some degree, Anthony Scaramucci. I'm just thinking of names, but by function, the Ford Lightning, right? They didn't have to do a big branding. So I feel like a lot of branding, and I want to go somewhere, is like it's new and it has good graphic design. And I feel like a lot of branding ends up there, right? And there's not sort of a architecture to the brand, but it's something new and we have to make this new thing look good. And by the way, if you really nail it, like what it is and how the graphic elements are and the tone fit together, and you have a brand. Like from a layman's perspective. And I feel like a lot of things end up there, self-editing, getting to a brand. I mean, is that fair?
Put it this way. That's only looking at it skin deep. A brand.
I agree.
Right. The greatest brands are going to they're going to connect to you you and I on a more fundamental level. It's like, why am I, look, I mean, let's use an example. Ignore the fact that it's Apple. It's just an example of a good campaign. Okay. But when Apple did come out with the iPod.
But wait. Every time you say Apple, I'm taking you off the air for 5 seconds in longer 5-second increments.
Okay. I'm not talking about that. That's not them. The iPod didn't introduce an MP3 player. What it introduced was 1,000 songs in your pocket. It changed the framework of the discussion. It was like, oh, I didn't have to think about technology. And the best brands of any sort, whether they're freaking startups, small or whatever. And it's like, I mean, like, look, I took KnowBe4, which is in security awareness training, from startup to $1 billion valuation in 8 years, based on KnowBe4 and its human error conquered. Okay, we positioned the factor of like we didn't talk about blah 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 security awareness training, human firewalls, all this kind of shit. We talked about human error conquered, because that's all you need is one freaking bozo in your company. So looks like my password's been violated. I guess I'll respond to that thing, and you go in and you reset and all that kind of shit. Bang, they hack and they rip off billions and billions and billions of dollars every year. But it's how do you frame the discussion? How do you frame it so that people will give a shit? And
I want to know that. I want to know that for sure. So I want to get there. I just want to cover this topic.
Yep.
So if you think about, really interesting. My mom came here, moved to Southern California, where we are, and she said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to get a little place, out in the country, but we'll be coastal. We can come visit you and the kid." She comes, looks around. God knows why. She gets a condo, a house on Via de la Valle, which is like the polo field, the most expensive part, the Bel Air of San Diego. But she's in this little neighborhood, and there's all these American flags up, right? And so then Trump has kind of rebranded the American flag in a very wealthy neighborhood to mean sort of the right-leaning part of the Republican Party. So she assumes, that all her neighbors that have flags up are right-leaning conservatives, right? Okay. And basically that has been a rebranding of the American flag. So when I was growing up, like the flag just meant America, right?
Right.
And left, right, center, like America-centric. And now somebody's, driving with the flag like over prominently exposed, and you're like, right wing, Trump dudes doing whatever, blocking traffic because I'm trying to get home on a Sunday. So has that been a rebranding or a reframing of the flag? I mean, how do you brand guys view that?
Well, I mean, you're opening up a whole discussion. I mean, there's been millions and millions and millions of dollars of very highly choreographed discussions on media. No, who the hell trusts media these days? And there are channels that are absolutely dedicated to one side versus another side. That is the result of millions and millions and millions of dollars of exposure of choreographed discussions that have shifted what this means or what that means. So, I mean, look, if anybody's going to throw enough shit at the wall, the shit's going to stick, whether it's right or wrong or accurate or inaccurate. So okay. I think that's a different discussion. I really do.
Okay, but let me just carry that forward. And so something, that I'm very fond of, other than chocolate is yoga pants, right? So you have Lululemon.
I'm also a fan of chocolate, by the way.
Okay. You see, it's David smartly, has a family and doesn't say, I love yoga pants on, recorded internet call.
That's right.
What? Hold on. Oh crap! It's my wife. Honey, come on. It's David. You know how he is. He's a horrible person. I love you, but he's terrible. He does these things. He makes me do this. Okay. So, yoga pants. But to your formula, so Lululemon.
Yeah.
And I want to get into branding formula because I'm deeply interested in it. But I just sort of have this thesis that great brands that we see sort of haven't gone through the David Brier method and have done massive exposure, good graphic design, good product. You can sort of get there, right? So it's Lululemon owns that space of branded, high quality yoga pants. I mean, we're in Southern California. I don't know if you're in Missouri. I don't think we have any listeners in Missouri. But anyway, it just feels like massive exposure, good product, good graphic design, you get a brand.
But Lululemon is built on a culture and a community and a bunch of followers that came first.
Okay.
Right.
But they didn't. Right.
We have a culture. We have a community.
They backed into it because I feel like we look at these great brands, right, and then we try and laymen like us figure out like how we read books and everything. And I don't want to get to you in a minute. This is more about the confusion. It just feels like the great brands have backed into it and the not great brands, haven't done it. And I mean, is there really a formula that you can drive to create a brand, or is it just good product, good graphic design, and healthy, clean living?
No, I think there is a formula. I think it's a formula of defiance is what it actually is, because the bottom line is that every day and every hour, every day, there are inferior products, inferior services with inferior design that outsell superior products and superior design every day of the week. And so you go and believe me, from someone that came from design, I mean, I started out as a designer and I just evolved myself through marketing and branding, all that kind of stuff, to start to appreciate language and all of the bits and pieces. I didn't want to just be a freaking, a wonderfully trained musician sitting in an orchestra. I wanted to be the freaking conductor to make sure there was a fucking symphony going on.
Yeah.
And so to me, I didn't want to just be the one little piece. So I started looking at all the pieces, and it was very disheartening when I would see, because I was like, hey, if it looks great, if it's like amazing and the typography is great and the colors, the company's going to explode. And sometimes that happened and sometimes it didn't. And that was freaking really disheartening. And then occasionally you'd see a shit product, horribly designed, just shit. And all of a sudden it's out producing, the stuff that should be doing better. So yeah.
Well, you're too young. There's a problem with talking to a bunch of 32-year-olds, interviewing them and can't know anything.
I've been doing this for 41 years. 41 years. Bam.
So there was a series of commercials by 7-Up that were fantastic. I mean, they really nailed their brand, which was sort of counterculture, but it was these inner city basketball youths, black dudes playing hardcore street basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And they're dribbling the ball and they're sweating before Gatorade, and it was 7-Up, and they got their shirts off and they're sweating and they're mad balling, right? And they really captured this inner city Baltimore black youth culture. And then all of a sudden it goes, and one of the guys runs over and he's got this perfect Oxford actor accent. He's like, sorry, mate. What's my motivation here again? Right? Is it like inner city black dude? Sorry, mate. Right. Well, what's my motivation? And I always think about that. Like branding, branding's exercise is like, hey, we're busy being what we are, right? And all of a sudden the branding conversation comes up, and it sort of forces us to say, hey, what's my character? What am I playing here? Who am I? Right. And I call, like, I'm guilty of this. So, I want differentiation.
Yep.
I want to be, from the kind of guys who are on YouTube and Instagram and doing podcasts, I want to be seen, differently through a different lens, better. And so I'll call up my buddies in Hollywood, and I'll go, Brant, good question for you. Right, mate. What's my motivation? Who am I? Right. What have I got here? Hey, you rotter. What am I doing? Right. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're just you. I'm like, yeah, but I want to be a great me. David froze. Or I froze. Daniel, what happened? You can pop in. Hey, Daniel, did I freeze?
No, it's actually David that froze. Let's move in.
David either has the world's greatest smile, and he's mocking us.
So let's see.
Well, you try and get him back, and I'm going to continue on this subject. So I feel like one way you can get to a brand is to, just continually refine these elements. Like, I have a good product. We do great graphic design. We're upping the volume, the number of people that see the brand, and the graphic design and the voice are in alignment. So that's sort of, for lack of understanding, really, how to plumb beneath the surface and create a brand. That sort of seems where most of these things come from. So what I was saying, David, is, I call my buddies and I go, like, who am I? What's my brand? Who should I be? And they're like, you're Oren. Like, don't worry about it. And these are Hollywood guys. So now we're somewhere where, and here's my thesis and where I want you to take us further. Sales is a thing because it clearly drives revenue, but you don't have to be that great at it to get it to work. Okay. Marketing is very critical and has numbers attached, and you can buy AdWords, see the long tail revenue effect. And I have friends who have $200 million companies doing one thing, buying keywords and selling one product, a toothbrush, right? And so marketing is a thing that has numbers on it. Branding is something I think most people back into with good graphic design, connected to the tone and the voice of the company and the product, and then a brand pops up. Mm-hmm. How can we do better than that? And so, look, I'm just holding this cup here. Yeti somehow, like, can you tell us what Yeti did, or did they do my method? I'd love to know my method, or did they do your method? Okay.
I would love to know how Yeti got the adoption it has gotten. I don't freaking know. I mean, it's everywhere, and everyone seems to love their Yeti. I mean, I know,
but motherfucker, you're proving my thesis, not yours. You don't come here. I'm not, no, and I'm come here and tell me that I'm right. No, you say that you come and say that you're right.
No. Here's the deal. What you're looking at. That's like that. Your question is kind of like going like, so like, is it true that a great meal is just like everything that I'm looking at on this plate? It's like, wait, it's everything that came before that made this fucking plate possible. So the thing is that before we get the good name, before we get the great brand, before we get the amazing packaging, before we get the right stuff that gets people to go, what the hell was that? That's I want to know more about that. There's something that happens earlier, and that is, it is this. It's right. So it's this thing called differentiation. Do you know? I mean, let me give you a specific example. Do you know that before I wrote this sucker, before I wrote this, that
which by the way, stole the colors of Flip the Script? When did that come out?
This came out before Flip the Script.
Okay, so it stole them. It knew that I was coming out with the yellow, and you're like, let me get there first to differentiate.
Absolutely. No, I looked into the future. I stole what you were going to do, and I came back, and I was like, okay, I'm beating him to the punch.
Can you get a copy of Flip the Script just so, yeah. I mean, if he's going to flash his book. The difference is you're like, hey, I have a brand. My book is on my desk. Like when I'm on a podcast, I'm going to lift the book and show it to people. And like, I just had to send somebody to a different warehouse to even find our book. So I am not a, here we go. Thank you. All right, Professor. Yeah. So, by the way, for the FTC and regulators, I just want to officially, announce that David stole our color combination. But go ahead, David. So differentiation.
So the thing is that I went to Amazon.com. I went to Amazon and I was curious. I was like, you know what? I want to look in this branding thing. I want to see how many books there are. And this is going about, let's say 5-6 years ago. There were like 10,000 books on branding. 10,000. Okay. That would take.
They all were black. They were all black and white covers. So you said, I'll do a yellow cover and then I'll sell some books.
Well, here's the thing though. But here's the thing, though, is that if you and I were to actually read one book a day, if we said, you know what, we're gonna have the Oren and David book club. We're gonna read one book a day. It would take us 24.6 years to read all those books. Now it's 20,000 books, by the way.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there was not one agreed upon definition of what branding was. In fact, some people were like,
"That's what I'm saying." That's what I'm saying. We're in agreement.
And until this amazingly great colored book actually came out and said. Branding comes down to 4 words. It's the art of differentiation. And the bottom line is you even use that when you're pitching, just by how you frame stuff, you give it a different context. And so the thing is that where brands start wrong is they go, well, what's our mission statement? What are we doing? They look, first of all, there's the micro, which is us. There's the macro, which is out there. They're failing to look at what's out there. What's the noise that's out there? What's all the offerings and all the shit that blends into the same, all these varieties of brand A shit, brand B shit, brand C shit, brand D shit, brand E shit. And it just goes on and on and on. We don't need more options. We need better options. And we got to show what's existing is broken, because the best brands that you know, of which I won't name any of them in case you decide that you want, bang, we're canceling them for 5 seconds. I won't say any of those brands. But the thing is that the greatest brands were created by frustrated customers who were like, shit, how come I can't stand the options that are available there? I want something different. No one's doing it. I'll invent it. So, I will introduce it to the marketplace. So it comes from the point of differentiation.
But yes. I mean, and I think when I start a pitch, to your point, I start it this way. Just when you think you know the answer, I change the question.
Boom.
And so it has to start like that. I feel like the counterintuitive or opposite path is the starting point, because I think we think about differentiation, exactly the same. What everybody else would say offends me, because I have that now in my mindset. So this is the way I think, right? I think about what I know the 19 other people that do this thing say. And if anybody here in my organization says that, I yell at them and I'm offended by it, right? Because I know we can't get anywhere saying the exact same thing.
Correct.
Okay. And so the next thing critically is, but what you've said, I feel like it starts not at the way I think about branding is we've already made product choices, right? We've already made career choices. We've already made value choices. We've already decided who we are, what we do, how we behave, and really what we are as a product, or what our company makes. And I think about branding, and why I'm frustrated by it is coming in on top of that and going, okay, I can fix how the world sees this. But what you're saying as a branding expert is it starts at the product level, differentiation.
100%. Otherwise, it's fucking lipstick.
Okay,
Who the
so
fuck needs lipstick? Who the fuck needs lipstick? It's like it's not. It's like, I don't like that color lip. I don't like that red. I want it a little more cherry. Fuck you, cherry.
So branding is not what you do with what you've decided, right? So you make this, right? And you've invested in infrastructure, you've invested in the product, you have packaging, you do something, right? And now you go out and you go, hey, we want to brand better. That's what I'm saying. That's just graphic design.
Right. Right.
What I hear you saying is the brand goes deeper, and it is what you have. Now, what if you're listening to you as I am, although it sounds like I'm talking, I'm actually trying to listen.
I know that you're listening, even though your lips are moving. I know that you're listening.
Like to fucking Zig Ziglar, hey, you can't talk and listen at the same time. No, Zig. I mean, I'm sorry you died because I wanted you to hear this from me. You can. I do it all the time. I'm talking, but I'm also listening. Right? It's like that is not true. Those things are not incompatible. It's not like you can't be walking north and south at the same time. Agreed. Right? You can't be sleeping and awake at the same time or whatever. But you can talk and listen at the same. Like it's biologically possible. So all you sales and motivational good people out there doing the Lord's work, stop telling people you can't talk and listen at the same time.
But to that particular point, and I know you know this is true because you're in rooms where I know when I'm in a room and I am talking. Yes, I'm talking. That occupies 10% of my attention. 90% of my attention, I'm looking at what's happening in the room. Is it landing? Is it not landing? Is it resonating? Is it not resonating? And I know you know that. I know that. That's true. And the best of us as communicators, yes, we're talking, but we're engaged and we are looking and observing what the hell's going on.
I love it. I saw a speaker do this once, and I do it all the time. So he's talking, and he's answering a question. He's talking about a subject, and then he just points over there. Put that phone down, right? Or go out in the hallway. Pay attention to what people are doing here. So and just seamless, right? And so you can actually use that as an amazing high-level skill to differentiate yourself. But okay, so we have a product. We've gone up. We've done better design. We have a better log line. We have a better, we're taking out more advertising, and we've sort of gone through a rebranding light exercise. Graphic design, Appleatized our website, more white space, better fonts, better, color, our own custom font. And now we have $75,000 less, but we're the same product. All right. Now we bring in David. And David goes, presumably, I'm going to put words in your mouth. Hey, guys, what you did was branding light. Like, you did an Apple-esque website. It was fucking fantastic. I love the gray and the orange together. Very pleasing to the eye. Your font. Oh, my God, I cried when I saw your I called up my font producer, and we were on the phone. Just, God, I love it. Look at that, the sand, the way the J dropped just below. Oh my God, it's a spacing. Who did this? So the font, these fonts. I love fonts, and so the font is good, and the voice. You guys have sort of reinvented the voice and professionalized some of the goofy stuff that's in it, and it looks a lot better. But largely, compared to. Now get me into the how do I compare brands? What's the language of brands, right? You go in and you're giving this critique. I've given the part that I understand, which is, design and fonts and colors and gray. What's the language of branding that allows us to say, okay, our competition A, competition B, C, how do we compare ourselves in the language of branding to the other people? And then how do we go down into our product and say, at a product level, we need to differentiate?
100%. So the thing is so first of all, looking at the skin is the last place I look, right? it's like, okay, I may go look at it and go, shit, okay, that's repulsive, and like a part of me just died looking at that. Okay, it's like and so that may occur, but that's like later in the chain. It's like, wait a second. First, I'll give you a perfect example. This will actually show you the sequence. So
use the language of branding, like how to branding. Don't talk to us dummies. Talk in the way that branding guys talk to each other.
No, I don't talk that way. Bullshit. I refuse to. You will notice in my book, there's no lingo, no freaking marketing speak. I don't talk like that. So here's the thing. So there's a company that created this amazing furnace and climate control thing, and it was like, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And they're going up against the Lennoxes in the world, and they're going up against the all the big players. And I'm going, why are you using the language of the old, what's already been, to introduce something new? He said, you've already told me the technology you're using is totally different than what everyone else was using. So why the hell? So, if I looked at it from the lens you were talking about, like if I were looking at the design, I was looking at the words, that's the later stuff. That's the result. That's their conclusion. I never accept the conclusion. I go earlier and I go, okay, so we understand that it's different technology. So here's the conversation that we ended up having. I said, first of all, this is the first revolution in climate control since 1919, which it was, because since 1919, everyone's used the same technology. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing was, I said, the technology that you use is the same technology used to detect original oil masterpieces from forgeries. It's the same technology used to actually find new galaxies and new planets. It's the same technology that can actually find wildlife poachers and actually detect them and prevent them from doing those things. This is the technology, and even forecasting where there will be hurricanes and saving billions of lives. This is the technology that now can be used to actually impact and control the climate control in your home or your office or your building. That's a totally different conversation. That's where the branding started, because that's a point of differentiation. No longer are we saying, oh, Lennox or ours. Bullshit. Now we're not. It's like Lennox isn't even in the same room anymore because it doesn't belong there. So that's an example.
If I interpret this, is one big element of branding like choosing who we're going to fight with?
That's part of it.
Is that what I'm hearing?
That's part of it. Or it might even be going, you know what? Do we even want to be in the same battleground as that? Because that's old and this is brand new. We might have to have a whole new conversation. We say, hey, we know that you've been accustomed to this battleground over here, and that those have been your options up till now, and that's fine. But if you actually realize that it fails to do blank, 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 and it's broken, here's something new we actually would like to talk about. So it's changing it.
So then, all right, but let's simplify that and take this down to a person level, because I think a lot of people and I think there's a different conversation. Tell me if you don't go there, but there's this idea of personal brand.
Okay.
So the question is, can this notion of branding, choosing what lane to participate in, who to position yourself against, what conversation to have, can that impact your personal brand, right?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Give me how does personal branding work? How do you think about it, in your mind? And how do you choose a personal brand? And I think what a lot of people say is, do I have to change my values? Do I have to change how I talk? Do I have to change who I am in order to have a differentiated personal brand?
Again, the conversation doesn't start looking here at either me or my product or my service. It's the wrong place to start the discussion. The first discussion is, what the hell is the noise out there? What's going on? It's like, if there's a whole bunch of talking heads out there who are all professing, like why does Gary Vaynerchuk stand out as a personal brand? Gary Vaynerchuk is a personal brand. Yes,
right.
VaynerMedia, VaynerSports, and all that kind of shit, but he's a personal brand. And why him? Why does he have the voice that he has? And so he attacked branding and as on a totally different level in terms of quantity and authenticity and rawness that nobody ever had gone to before. That was a choice, and it works, obviously, And so, look, Trump had a personal brand. Whether you like it or don't like it, it was a personal brand. You noticed it. You saw it, right? It wasn't all the same talking heads that were on that stage going, hey, I want to be the president-elect, right? Boom.
So Daisy Duke from Dukes of Hazzard, Trump, Gary Vaynerchuk, The Rock, the Rolling Stones. So those ones are sort of easy to unpack backwards. But a lot of people have to go to work, in a company, and so they can't choose over the top, right? They can't wear a giant cowboy hat with a feather hat, Kid Rock, cowboy boots, holes in the jeans, and come in with a guitar when they work at a investment bank. So I'm stuck in an investment bank.
Right.
There's a dress code. There's a haircut code, right? Or it doesn't have to be I'm on a hockey team, right? But there is a institutionalized standards that people adopt. And if you come in like the system too different, the system will spit you out. So how do you fit in but stand out at the same time?
Well, one is there's got to be a culture where it actually is going to be either supported, or you may find at a certain point you may part ways. I mean, there's one guy, forget his name. There's one guy. This guy was like known as the hip hop. You may have seen him. Have you seen this weather guy? He did these freaking amazing break moves and dance moves and hip hop dancing, and that was his shtick on.
I know, but what we're now describing is the problem with our culture and why we're going to hell, right?
Okay, go for it.
Because primarily, unless you're willing to put in work without reward for a long time, the easiest, fastest way to exposure or results or satisfaction or fulfilling our human neediness for attention is massive differentiation and filling some, wearing a clown hat, wearing a clown makeup, doing the weather with our pants off while juggling. No one's done that yet. Oh, wait, they have done that. Sorry.
Right.
So this is sort of the TikTok, Instagram push is what tiny little niche, little weird niche that never needed to be done in the first place can be done so I can get some attention.
But let's take your hypothesis, which there's a number of variables here. Let's look at Southwest. Southwest, you go, okay, Southwest. It became, as a brand, it grew in part because it allowed the unique idiosyncrasies of their flight attendants to freaking get into rap, tell jokes, do all kinds of stuff, and do things that no one did before. So all of a sudden, it was like, oh, so is the culture going to embrace distinction, or is it going to be, oh no, here's a box and you must adhere to that? Which is, bottom line is bullshit. Any organization that's like that is stoic and fixed, their days are numbered, because that doesn't allow for fluidity. It doesn't allow for changes and shifts. So,
but hold on. But I want to hold you accountable as a branding guy. So you can't, because what can happen is you go, we're focused on a topic, and then it's very easy, because these use cases, go, oh, Southwest, oh, Lululemon, oh, Yeti, and those are like big, meaty, well-established case examples. But what I'm saying is, down at the human level, like a lot of people listening to you and I, right, they might be running the future Southwest, but today they're running the Southwest, that is still has one plane,
right,
or two planes. So differentiating without going Instagram, TikTok, maniacal, goofy, weird, differentiating, but still playing on a established playing field. So I think about like a basketball game, right? In a basketball game, the only thing you can do to differentiate yourself really is play well, get more points, win games, and give a poised, normal, post-game speech. Yeah, the other players were really good. We played a good game. I have a lot of respect, for the other guys in the third period. It really looked like we were falling behind, but coach pulled the team together. We started shooting some 3-pointers from the line, and Kobe really did his thing, and we finished up with the win. Thank you very much. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah. So I think about a basketball game, right? You can't change the entire rules of the game. You can only play that game by the rules better. So
couldn't a basketball player just say, wait a second, I really want to leave my mark here. I want to not just like blend in and just be one more freaking, 6'8" or 7'2", basketball player.
Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, but Dennis was a freak. Okay,
right. That's what I'm saying.
I understand, right. But there's an alternative to that. It's like, what if one said, how do I actually, how am I going to actually leave a little more of a mark than just being a player, right?
Yes, great question.
Okay.
Somebody put that up on the screen. How am I going to leave a little bit more of a mark than just being insert whatever you do here? Real estate professional, investment banker, a server at Olive Garden, marketing coordinator, author, speaker, doer, CEO person. How am I going to leave a little bit more of a mark?
Yep.
And the answer is,
the answer is what can I do that's not already being done? What void can I fill? Can I add just not for your people, but for my guys, what can I do that's not already being done, that's not crazy bananas? No, that is valuable. Let's add that is valuable to the people that I can be serving, right? It's like, what can I do? What is it going to be? It can be a variety of things. Okay, great. Yeah, because that's my question. All right, what can I do that's different from what other people are doing, that is of value to the people I'm serving, but I'm already doing everything I can? Bullshit. Okay, that's bullshit. 100% bullshit. Now we're in the heart of it. So bullshit. Just to set it up, I agree with you. Yep. Well, I don't know the answer, but I admire the question. This is the question. What can I do to leave my mark on this situation, on this interaction, on this social interaction with people that is different from what other people are doing, that is valuable and in service of what we do, that in parentheses is not crazy bananas, wearing a gorilla suit, Crazy Eddie, if you remember Crazy Eddie. I remember Crazy Eddie. I totally do. That's not, Crazy Eddie, meth inspired craziness, but what can I do that other people are not doing that's valuable to the people I serve? They can let me leave my mark, and I already feel like I'm doing everything I can. Then how do I push myself further? What formula, what model, what perspective can I bring when I already feel like I'm doing everything I can? Good. Here is the secret sauce. The secret sauce. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, David. It's been so good having you on today. We looks like I'm getting the hook on time. Today was brought to you by David's barbecue sauce. David's barbecue sauce. Licking your lips until you sink in ships. So the thing is complacency is going to undermine every one of whether you're in sales, marketing, branding, any aspect. So I have 5,000 guys right now who are not complacent. Like they're putting money. I get that. But they're not complacent. No, I understand. Their desire is high. They're just tell me what to do, coach. Here's the deal. They're blocking every shot. I'm posting up just like we didn't practice. They're blocking every shot. Where do I go in the paint to get some baskets? What will someone like a newbie coming onto the market that they're looking around, at the landscape, and they're going, I see what's going on. They take an assessment of what's going on, and you're part of that landscape. They're looking at what you're doing and what everyone's doing, and they're an innovator, and they're going to say, well, shit, how am I going to disrupt it and upset what's going on here? What's going to be their answer? That answer is what you now need to start doing. That's how you actually outsmart the system. You go, wait a second. But I've been disrupting. I've been innovating. I've been all doing all this shit. Good. But there's always a next level. Michael Jordan didn't stop because, bam, hey, shit, I scored all these points, dude. That's it. I'm done. No, he was like, okay, how do I raise it next? Raise it to the next. Every great pitch man, every great brand, every great salesperson, every great marketing person goes, okay, I've hit this freaking pinnacle. Good. That's not the freaking finishing line. That's the starting line.
Okay.
That's what happened.
So to make it hurt, because this is where the only place where we can get truth is out of pain.
Yep.
The next guy, I'm happy to do it for me, but let's just do it on you. If it's too much, you know, if you're like, hey, I didn't bring my asbestos underwear today. I'm just wearing.
Dude, I brought a fire extinguisher, Brian, just in case I spontaneously combusted. So I'm ready. Bring it.
Okay. So the next guy writing a book on branding, right? David Brier owns the space. Everybody who goes, hey, what book on branding should I read? Read David's book, right? In fact, in preparation for this, 19 people sent it to me, including you. So that's 20. It said, read the book. So you'll have great position in that space. But the next guy coming up who says David owns the space, and then there's 9 guys to the right of David. There's 9 guys to the left of David. There's 17 guys just below him, right? But I'm very passionate about this. This is the only thing I know is branding. I've done it, successfully. What does that guy do to do a little bit more for in the branding space to leave his mark, right? And in service of companies that want to know more about branding? What does a guy right behind you do to do better than what you're doing?
He's got to be really fucking smart. He's got to be really. He's got to be. He's got to be. He would have to.
Hey, you said it would hurt, but you didn't say it was gonna mess with my business.
No, I would look. The bottom line is they would have to look at. I would say they would have to look at what other dots that can they help businesses connect that aren't currently connecting, that anybody can actually implement and use. So it's like, because there are bits and pieces and stuff like that. That's the thing. That's in a rough snapshot, but that's what I would say. They would need to go, okay, so David's talking about this. Maybe, it's kind of like what Tim Ferriss did with the 4-hour work week. I mean, basically it was talking about what? He was talking about outsourcing, right? So he was okay, 4-hour work week. So he packaged that really well. Okay. So maybe someone needs to repackage, but he brought together these different things and found a synergy where they existed. Someone would have to do that with branding. What that exactly is, I don't exactly know, because I've already have the outline for my next book, and it's gonna set your freaking underwear on fire. And your underwear with freaking giraffes and gorillas and all those jungle creatures on it. That underwear, that shit's gonna spontaneously combust.
Fantastic. Hold on, let me just hold on. Let me take a deep breath, which I don't do very often, and hold that imagery. Namaste. By the way, if you do this all the time, namaste. Don't stop doing it. At least don't do that around here, please. It's just, I don't know how many people I can reach with that message, but stop saying namaste. Okay. David, we'll have a few minutes left, and we have to hit what is changing from. So your book is out. What is changing today in branding that is hard to recognize, but because you're working with real companies and you're seeing it on the front lines of revenue, scaling companies, growth, and money, what are the concerning changes which are going to cause winners and losers? So where's the risk for Lululemon? Where's a risk for Yeti? how could Yeti become a loser as much as they've done for their brand today?
They could be so freaking intoxicated with their own shit, and they think that they lose sight of the bigger picture, and they become like product centric. They become, oh well, it's our blah 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 blah. Oh, it's our this. Oh, it's our that, and they lose touch with the fluidity and shifts of what's going on culture.
But couldn't you have said that, in the time of the Roman Empire? Like, what is
put it this way?
Technology? What technology?
Why do we have one remaining blockbuster in Bend, Oregon versus Netflix? Because freaking Blockbuster was married to what? The wrong thing. They were married to their solution, and they lost sight of what was actually needed and wanted by the consumers. Netflix was married to freaking entertainment. Under that umbrella of entertainment, they were able to go from DVD by mail and make the shift and pivot to, digital distribution, to, digital streaming, to, producing more original content than Disney or any other freaking programming company in the world. So you have to have the right framework and context, and the risk for companies that are moving forward, especially ones that are successful, is thinking, it's this thing, it's this product line. Bullshit. That product was there to serve your role as a brand in the world. What's the role you serve? I mean, let's take you. So we got Oren Klaff. We got the Oren Klaff brands. You got pitch anything. You got flip the script. But the bottom line is you have a context of, pitching, framing, closing deals, actually cementing these relationships and driving money and doing deals that are like the stakes are high and it's like holy shit moments. Oh my God. But there's an umbrella under which you can move and pivot. And there's so many facets to that. You didn't lose sight and go, pitch anything. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no more story to tell. So that's the thing. We can get really myopic in what we're offering and lose our perspective if we, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as brands, as companies, if we get myopic, we'll lose.
So let me try and put that through my filter and tell you what I heard, which is when we run out of stories and it becomes about the product, and we run out of stories about the product, and we're just iterating the next version of the cup, of the cooler, and we're focused on technology, but the founders are gone and nobody knows how to tell the stories anymore, then the brand starts to drift.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I mean, the bottom line is, if you were to take any of your companies that you have worked with, how many facets do they have? If I were to say, okay, tell me one facet of it, and you go, I go, good, tell me another. Tell me another. Tell me another. You are fertile. You are alive. You're able to inject those different vantage points that are all relevant and all meaningful. It's not like there's only one note to that freaking thing. So
this is really now I feel like we're really somewhere meaningful, and it's interesting because we got there in an hour. The most meaningful thing to me, and I agree with, and the thing that I'm latching on, is multiple vantage points. And by the way, that's my book, not yours. You're already putting out a next book. If you can't give people,
if the colors look like this, we need to have a conversation.
hey, fuck you. Mine is actually just going to say David Brier on it. I want to actually sell books. Multiple vantage points. When I think about it, if you can't give people multiple vantage points, what problem do you solve? What technology do you use? What relationships do you have? What universe do you live in? Who's your competition? Who's not your competition? What are your values? What do you think is important? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where were you 5 years ago? What are you doing now? What are the like? Without multiple vantage points, then you can't move with the changes. Here's what I think. Where you have risk with your brand is when you're giving people one single vantage point on you and your product, because I can come in, take that away from you. David can come in. My 7-year-old can come in and take that away from you.
No
Very
question.
narrow vantage points on what you do.
Leave you vulnerable.
If you don't have a story on every, we have a slide actually, but if you don't have a story on every vantage point, by vantage points, just so it's not so abstract, I got to wrap up here, but maybe you want to add, but I think of like, what are the economics? What are the technology? What are the relationships? What is the history? Where are we going?
What's the cultural impact?
What's the cultural impact? Great. What are our values? So these all can have stories underneath them. Let's see. What do we spend money on? What do we not spend money on? And
what's going to be the ripple effect in the quality of life of your customer?
And stories, quality of life stories of our customers. So that's a list of 10 vantage points that you can have 3 stories in each for 30 stories. And that is an unassailable brand that you control. If you don't have those stories and those vantage points, I think you're at risk.
Yep. Love that.
David, I'll give you the final word, or was that it?
No, I think you summarized it beautifully. I think you summarized it just beautifully. That's because it's true. It's true. Because the greatest brands, they'll be properly framed, which gives them the fluidity to tell endless stories without becoming diluted.
Beautiful. Okay. This has been the Dealmaker podcast. You've been here with David Brier. He is a very sophisticated about branding. And what I like about him is, he's not going to say, based on the strategic poll of the market, what we're seeing is 3 different cohorts on which you can establish peer groups. And your avatar seems to speak to the 34 to 50-year-old cohort if you factor in nationalism and geographic territories that are mainly West and left leaning. The language of branding. David, thank you for being here. Make sure to click anything that you can see that says I subscribe. Matter of fact, if it says
that was great. That was the best call to action. That was the best call to action I've ever heard.
If there's an S, click on that and see what happens. All right? Because I'm busy. I'm not going to email you 50 times and say, please subscribe and join the podcast. This is your chance, right? Either go back to the coal mine and do whatever you're doing, or come with us. There's winners and losers. You decide which category you're in. You choose. I'm not going to fix your life for you. You're either with me or against me. So subscribe or don't. But if you subscribe, you'll get the following things. What will they get? You'll get less swear words next time. I know that's inappropriate for a lot of business places, but David made me do it. David, thanks for being here, and I will talk to you soon.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening, and be sure to stay tuned for more great content from Oren Klaff. If you want to get daily insights and additional assets, go to orenclaff.com/daily and sign up for a 7-day trial of the Daily Dealmaker. See you next time.